Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur
Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi
Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda
Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda
Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ स्वामी जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Gauranitai, Jai, Gauranitai, Jai, Gauranitai, Jai, Gauranitai. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राज भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राज भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती प्रभुपाद की गौर कृष्ण दासजी महाराज की भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की श्री जगन्नाथ दासजी महाराज की प्रेम को श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गुरु भक्त बिंद की नाम श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की स्वर्ग स्वामी की मायापुर नवदीप धाम की मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की गंगा माई जमुना माई की भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की अनंतगढ़ी वैष्णव बिंद की समावेत गौर भक्त बिंद की निताय गौर सीतानाथ प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल all glorious the symbol devotees Hare Krishna all glorious the symbol devotees Hare Krishna all glorious the symbol devotees Hare Krishna all glorious all Guru Granth Srila Prabhupada Namaste Narasimhaya
Namaste Narasimhaya
Narasimhaya
Namaste Narasimhaya
Narasimhaya
Namaste
Narasimhaya
Hiranyakashipur Bhakshaha
Hiranyakashipur Bhaksha
Atanka
Nakalaye
Ito Nrisingha Paruto Nrisingho
Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha
Jato Jamitato Nrisingha
Yato Yato Yabitato Narsimha
Nrisingho Hridaye Nrisinghavadin Sharanam Prapadye
Narasimhamadim Sharanam Prapadye
Nrisinghavadin Sharanam Prapadye
Narasimhamadim Sharanam Prapadye
Kamala Hare Adbhut Sringa Dorita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringa Ishava Drita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha
करकमलवरे नकामद्भुतशृङ्गा दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवगीता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
Kamalabare Nakam Adbhuta Sringam Dolita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringa Shavadita Naraharirupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare
करकमलवरे नकाम अद्भुत शृङ्गार दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवगीता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
सिंह भगवान जय
की जय धनराज प्रहलाद महाराज की जय
Hare Krishna. Welcome, devotees.
हरे कृष्णा
Hope all the assembled devotees had a very wonderful day. Thank you for gathering with us to join us in the virtual Sunday program. Those of you who are out there joining us on Zoom, as well as on YouTube, our YouTube channel. And we also have a group of devotees that are gathering in the temple today. Earlier today, there was a fire sacrifice for the second initiation of Purnamasi Mataji. So there's some devotees that were there from that program. So we'd like to congratulate her on the steps that she's making in her progress in Krishna consciousness. Tonight we have with us His Grace Kaivalya Prabhu. He'll be speaking to us on the Bhagavad Gita as we continue our Bhagavad Gita study. I imagine all of you who are tuning in know Kaivalya Prabhu. He's probably the longest devotee here in ISKCON of Philadelphia. Him and his family have been serving here since, is it 70s or the 80s? Late 70s or
1971
1970 in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
In Philadelphia. So he's, you know, his roots are here in Philadelphia. He raised his wonderful family here and has served here in many different capacities. As he's currently the one of the members of the board of directors. He's a pujari for Shri Shri Radhashard Bihari and a regular on our Srimad Bhagavatam class speakers. So we're thrilled to have him here tonight as we continue our study of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, studying about the symptoms of a transcendentalist. So Kaivalya Prabhu, I'm not currently at the temple. I don't think we have the camera on to give a Didi Darshan, but I know you'll be here very shortly after the class to do the arti. So maybe at that time we'll give a close-up art for the darshan at that time. So maybe at this time I'll hand it over to you.
I'm not coming today. My son is coming. Chaitanya is coming.
Oh,
Yeah, okay.
oh, Chaitanya is coming. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll give a maybe for the 6:45 we'll give a darshan for everybody
Okay.
who missed the darshan at 4 o'clock. Okay, so maybe you lead us in Jai Radha Madhava, and then we'll put the
Yeah,
verse up
please.
for the class.
Can somebody sing Radha Madhava in the temple? Some devotees are there, or you want me to sing that?
Why don't you sing? Why don't you go ahead
Okay.
if you want to?
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana
Jaya Vijana
Vallabha
Vallabha
Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Jashodanandana. Jaya Vrajajana Ranjana. Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवृतचार्य अष्टोत्तर शिष्य दिवान गए श्री ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद जय द्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्यामा कुंज राधा कुंज गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। मथुरापुरी धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई जमुना माई की जय। तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय। शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। श्याम वेद भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल डिवोटी हरे कृष्णा। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल डिवोटी हरे कृष्णा। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल डिवोटी हरे कृष्णा। ऑल ग्लोरीज ऑल ग्लोरीज टू श्री गुरु एंड श्री गौरंगा हरि हरि बोल। So today, Hare Krishna, today we are reading, continuing chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita, and today's text is text 56, which is very good text. You know, this is showing about the Sthita Pragya, Stadhimani, how they behave, how they talk like that. So I will repeat the text 3 times, and then you can repeat it after me. Dukheshva अनुद्विग्न मनः सुखेषु विगति स्पृहा वीतराग भय क्रोध स्थित धीर मुनिरुच्यते। दुखेषु अनुद्विग्न मनः सुखेषु विगति स्पृहा वीतराग भय क्रोध स्थित धीर मुनिरुच्यते। दुखेषु अनुद्विग्न मनः सुखेषु विगति स्पृहा वीतराग भय क्रोध स्थिधीर मुनि उच्यते। Somebody wants to repeat it, they can repeat. Otherwise, I will read the word-to-word translation. So, Dukheshu, in the threefold miseries, Anudvigna mana, without being agitated in mind. Sukheshu, in happiness, Vigatispraha, without being interested, Vita, free from, Raga, attachment, Bhaya, fear, Krodha, and anger, Istadhi, Istitadhi, whose mind is steady, Munihi, a sage, Uchate is called. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called a sage of a steady mind. The word Muni means one who can agitate his mind in various ways for mental speculation without coming to a factual conclusion. It is said that every Muni has a different angle of vision, and unless a Muni differs from other Munis, he cannot be called a Muni in the strict sense of term. Na chasavam rishir yasya matam na bhinnam. Mahabharat par one parva 133, 117. But a study Muni, as mentioned here and by the Lord, is different from an ordinary Muni. The Stadir Muni is always in Krishna consciousness, for he has exhausted all the business of creative speculation. He is called Prasanna Nihashesha Mano Rathantar. Stotra Ratna 43, or one who has surpassed the stage of mental speculation and has come to the conclusion that Lord Krishna or Vasudeva is everything. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. He is called a Muni fixed in mind. Such a fully Krishna conscious person is not at all disturbed by the onslaughts of the threefold miseries, for he accepted all miseries as the mercy of the Lord, thinking himself only worthy of more trouble due to his past misdeeds. And he sees that his miseries, by the grace of the Lord, are minimized to the lowest. Similarly, when he is happy, he gives credit to the Lord, thinking himself unworthy of the happiness. He realizes that it is due only to the Lord's grace that he is in such a comfortable condition and able to render better service to the Lord. For the service of the Lord, he is always daring and active and not influenced by the attachment or aversion. Attachment means accepting things for one's own sense of gratification, and detachment is the absence of such sensual attachment. But one fixed in Krishna consciousness has neither attachment nor detachment, because his life is dedicated in the service of the Lord. Consequently, he is not at all angry, even when his attempts are unsuccessful. Success or no success, a Krishna conscious person is always steady in his determination. Om Agyanti Mirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruvai Namaha. Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadhati Swapadantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jai Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे. Hare Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada gave real nice purport of this shloka, and we are continuing to discuss in second chapter about Study Muni. About Study Muni, it started in the text number 54, 2 shlokas before. And so chapter 2 is very important chapter actually, as Prabhupada has named it as content of the Gita summarized. So it actually contains all the important teaching of Bhagavad Gita. So when Lord spoke about Study Muni in the previous text, like in text number 54, Arjuna actually asked 4 questions to Lord Krishna. So he asked, what is the description of the person who is situated in the full realization of the Atma? So Study Muni. So he's asking about description of the Study Muni. So that was in question in the text number 54. Then this question actually concerns the situation of the person who is in the Samadhi, who is in self-realization. And other 3 questions were concerning about the same person who is in Samadhi or Study, who is Study Muni, and in different agitating states. Like, so what happens, this thing happened or that thing happened, if he gets too much happiness or if he gets too much unhappiness, so how he behaves, so that was the question, second, third, and fourth questions. So first question, it says, Sthira Pragya Ka Bhasha. Ka Bhasha means what kind of language he speaks. That means it's not actually literally language, but how one describes a person who is fixed in devotion, how we describe him. And by which qualities we can say that this person is Sthita Pragya. And the answer was given in the last text, which Mother Malti explained in the last Sunday very nicely. So the next second, third, and fourth question, what Arjuna asked, he says that when the person becomes subjected to the agitating circumstances, how will he behave? What will be his words or actions? And how they differ from an ordinary person. So on receiving the praise or the blame, whatever, or affection or hate, whatever, what will he say externally and internally? So what will be his reaction actually if the condition comes unfavorable? That's why I say Kim Prabhaset. This question of Arjuna is actually answered in text number 56, which we are reading now, and also in the next text 54, which we'll discuss next week. And then the remaining 2 questions, which is third question and fourth question, they will be answered from text number 58 till the end of this section, canto 2. So like from text number 58 to text number 72. So what is the third and fourth question? Third question is how Study Muni stops senses from going out to the sense objects. Kim Asita. And the next question was, fourth question is, and the last question is not stopping the senses. If you cannot stop the senses, then how Study Muni receives those sense objects? Kim Brajeta. So these 2 questions will be answered later on. But today we will mostly discuss the fifth text number 56. So Lord, so it is also important that before we discuss about Study Muni, we have to see how he actually behaves. What are the how he behaves actually, So we have to know a little bit about Study Muni. So we'll discuss first of the Study Muni, and then we will go to the question. So actually, like in material world, we all live in this Kali Yuga in material world, and we have several duties, and we can group them in 3 groups, like family duties and professional duties and spiritual duties. And they are like the tripod. And if any duty is not perform nicely, then tripod can actually tilt and fall on the ground. So we have to be very careful performing all three duties, and we have to adjust accordingly, according to our needs. So, and also in our study, in our spiritual studies and spiritual practices, we have to be very careful actually. Like, let me give you an analogy. Like our spiritual life is just like a milk, and this material life is like a water. So what happens, sometime water can actually, we can mix in the milk very easily. There is no problem. But slowly, what happens, material life actually comes more and more. And actually what happens, waters down the milk. So milk is very thin, it's not too much spiritual life. So that happens, there's possibility. So what we should do actually, that work hard, and we should put some kind of acid, like citric acid or something in the milk, and try to make a yogurt, and churn the yogurt and make a butter. And from the butter, we can boil it, and make it ghee. So in that ghee, then you cannot mix water, because if you mix water, then still not ghee and the water can be separated. You put the ghee in the refrigerator, and the ghee will freeze, and the water, you can separate the water. So that's why we have to make our spiritual life like that. We have to work hard in spiritual life, and churn it nicely, make the butter, make the ghee, then it will not water down. It will be steady. So that's study Muni. They try so hard, and they are so fixed in their sadhana that their material life do not touch it at all. So first, I will discuss a little bit about what is the study Muni. The study Muni is actually fixed in his consciousness. He has a clear conception, clear ideas, what is the spiritual life. He tries to adapt a spiritual path which is quite different than this material path. It's not khichdi kind of thing, that he actually knows that this is my spiritual life, this is my material life, and he tries to adapt a spiritual path and not the material path. Study Muni is pure in Krishna consciousness and not in any imaginary consciousness. He comes to a realistic conclusion that Vasudeva is everything. In my life, Vasudeva is all in all. And he's the creator, maintainer of all material and spiritual worlds. So, Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Su Durlabha. So, Study Muni behaves like a sober person. We say Dhira. He does not take any intoxicants or any bad things, he always very sober, follows all Vedic rules and regulations. So Bhagavad Gita says about Dhira, Dehino Asmina Yatha Dehe, Komaram Yovanam Jara, Tatha Dehantara Prapti, Dhiram, Tatra Namuyati. So a sober person is not bewildered by such changes, like when body goes from childhood to youth to old age to death, then gets a new body. He thinks that this is the normal phenomena, it will go on. So they are fixed, they do not get bewildered. So the Dhira is fixed in his mind, and he is not at all confused. When a person completely gives up all desires, so desires are bad actually, we should give up all the desires situated in our mind. He is known as Sthir Pragya. These desires belongs to the mind only, and it is possible that they can be given up, because mind's work is thinking, feeling, and willing. So it continuously thinks, mind doesn't stop even for 1 minute, 1 second actually. And that's why, but those desires actually, if we are strong from inside, we can give up those desires which are not Krishna conscious desires. If those desires belong to the Atma, if suppose those desires belong to the Atma, then it will be very difficult to give them up, because we have our Atma's constitutional position is Jivere Sarupa Krishna Nityadas. So like heat cannot give up the Agni, fire cannot give up the heat or light and light. Similarly, our Atma can actually is tuned in like that we are Dasanu Das of Lord Krishna. So we should behave like that. So it's very hard to give up our natural dharma. So Study Muni is completely satisfied. He is tushta, and his qualities are the same that are our soul, our atma. So we have the qualities same like Krishna actually, but in the very minute form. So that's known as atmanah, and our mind is completely withdrawn from all materialistic desires. That's known as atmani. A person who gives up all sense objects is insignificant, thinking that all the sense objects are insignificant, and he enjoys the bliss within himself, is said to be situated in samadhi, and he is called a sthir pragya. So this was the description of text number 55, which we read last week. So in today's verse, we are answering the second question for Arjuna. So when that person who is a study muni, he is subjected to agitating circumstances like dukkha or sukha, whatever it comes, how he reacts. That's what is the question. So first part, so there are 4 parts of this text. One is dukkheshva anudigna mana. So his mind is not bewildered by the appearance of dukkha or suffering. It can be all 3 kind of miseries: adi devik, adi bhautik, adhyatmik. So in all these miseries, how he behaves, that we'll discuss later. And second portion of the line says, sukheshu vigat spraha. He has given up all tendencies to enjoy during the opportunity for happiness. If he gets a lot of money or a lot of good food or something, he doesn't try to enjoy it because he has given up all the tendency to enjoy it. And with means free from. Raga means attachment. Bhaya means krodha. Bhaya means fear, and krodha means anger. So who is free from the attachment attachment, fear, and anger? Istadhir Muni Uchyate, that's the 4th portion of the shloka. That person is called a sage of steady mind. So this text gives the definition of sthir pragya. So this text gives actually definition of who is the sthir pragya. So that portion of a steady mind afflicted by. So let us do the first portion. So first portion says that what happens if he gets a lot of unhappiness in the life, afflicted by pain. Actually, normally when a normal person gets little, like if I get toothache, my whole, even if I'm chanting Krishna's name or trying to meditate or do anything, but my whole attention will go to my toothache. And until I get the dentist appointment to go and fix it, my mind will be going there again and again. Even in a small mosquito bite, how much we think about that. So any pain comes up, in the mind, it's just keep thinking, and it takes us away from our spiritual sadhana actually. So, but the person who is a study muni, his mind is completely undisturbed from these bodily things, That's why we say dukheshu anudvigna mana. For a normal person, even a small pinprick or anything, it will be bothering. But for a study muni, all these miseries he thinks that all these miseries are mercy of the Supreme Lord. So he takes it as it is, he doesn't oppose them or doesn't think why I'm getting it. He keep the Lord always in the center of his activities throughout his life, and he very easily gets peaceful, and he treats everyone equally. He thinks that this suffering is because of his prarabdha. That's what he thinks, that this is his prarabdha, which he must be inevitably experience. So he doesn't want to get out of those miseries, but he wants to think that this is due to Krishna's mercy, a kind of mercy, and it's in my prarabdha, so I will take it. So now let us see how Study Muni reacts to all 3 kind of miseries: Adhyatmik, Adibhautik, and Adhyatmik. So let us see the Adhyatmik due to our own body and mind. So our own body or mind gives us like Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. So this is the problems with our body. Then there may be problems with our mind, like Kama, Krodha, Lova, Moha, Mada, Mascharya. So these things, because the devotee is fully depends on the Lord's mercy. He wants to live in the condition when Krishna wants to keep him in that. So he thinks, whatever condition Krishna wants to keep me, I will live there. He's not afraid of any unhappiness or uneasiness. So he do not feel any kama, krodha, anything, because he thinks, that this is the way Krishna wants to keep me. So he just tolerates those things. And miseries of the body like Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, etc. also do not bother him. Why they do not bother him? Because he thinks, that he is not this body. He is actually the spirit soul. So it doesn't affect him. Anything happens to the body, it doesn't affect him. Because he knows that this bodily changes, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, they will keep coming. There is no end to it. And this is cycle, repeated birth and death. So he takes those things as they are, rather than thinking about them and bothering. So let us discuss little few examples, how the great saints tolerated this happiness or unhappiness. So let us talk our founder Acharya, about our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. So when he was in last few days of his leelas in this material world, actually a team of doctors, because devotees, all his disciples actually arranged team of doctors from different places. 10, 12 doctors actually came few days before Srila Prabhupada left his body. So those doctors came, and then they came to see Srila Prabhupada in the room. So when Srila Prabhupada was actually in very fragile condition, and so actually he, rather than, doctors ask him how he's feeling or anything, he asked to the doctors, that how was your journey? You had comfortable travel, or there was any problems? You had your prasadam or not? You got your rooms to stay and all those things. Are you comfortable here? Everything Srila Prabhupada asking, rather than those doctors. So even he was in so much pain, and his condition was, he was so tired, but still he's worrying about comfort of the others. So this is the actually great example of a Mahabhagwat. Other example I will give you for Jayananda Prabhu. When Jayananda Prabhu, we know that he got afflicted with the cancer and he was in the hospital, but still he was having a lot of pain with the cancer and everything, but he was not complaining of that pain. And even in the last few days before he left this world, he was still preaching to the doctors and nurses and other staff about Lord Krishna. He was showing them the book, he was teaching them, and he was preaching them. So this is the consciousness of this testimony, because they are fixed in the mind, they don't feel about these bodily pains. And we know about Haridas Thakur also. Haridas Thakur was very old, and he wanted to leave his body in front of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, but the only problem, he was so weak and tired actually, and but he could not finish. He was doing 192 rounds every single day, 3 lakhs names of Lord Krishna. So many times Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told that it's not possible for you now, so you can reduce it. There's no problem with that, but he will not reduce. He was always worried about finishing the chanting rather than anything else. And he was telling Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that this is not about my body or health. I have the biggest worry about not finishing the round. So how serious this was. So these are the symptoms of Stadimuni actually. So now let us discuss the reaction of Adi Bhautik by the other living entities, how the Adi Bhautik living entities actually can bother us. So when other jivas actually bother us, we think that I must have done. So the Stadi Muni will think, that I must have done something to this jiva in the past life. That's why this jiva is bothering me in this life. He doesn't blame anybody. He doesn't think anything bad about the person who is bothering him. He's giving him the problem. And he thinks that I'm suffering because I did something wrong in my last life to this jiva, and that's why I'm suffering now. So let me give example of Srila Prabhupada only, that he was giving a Pandal program in Calcutta, and one Bengali person came, and he was telling loudly that why you came here from foreign country, why don't you preach in foreign country only, why you have to come and preach in India like that. So he was really mad. Prabhupada never felt bad about it. And when after the Pandal program, when he went for prasadam, actually he told his disciples, please bring that person, And then Sri Prabhupada actually received him with very honor rather than yelling at him or telling him anything bad. And he actually he said, sit down next to me and take prasadam and everything, So it impressed that person so much, that he became devotee rather than telling anything. So this is the study Muni, how steady their mind is, If it is normal person, how he will behave, we know that. The similar example is for Mother Sita. Mother Sita actually, when Ravan took her to Lanka, actually she never felt bad that why Ravan took it. She never had any bad things about Ravan, that why he did that and I will curse him like that. He never thought like that, because she was the divine mother. She could have cursed him actually, but she took it as a result of her bad karma in the past life. She never felt bad anything. Similarly, Adi Devi, things are given by the demigods or nature. So miseries also, Istadi Muni, he never gets bewildered by these miseries, because the Istadi Muni knows very well that this word is Dukhalayam and Ashashvatam. So miseries are going to come. It's not going to stop. So why to worry about that? And we know this word is Ashashvatam, non-eternal. It's not. This is temporary word. So why to bother with worrying about whatever happens? Happens. You cannot stop that, because this is natural things. So just pray the Lord. That's their aim is. So now let us go to second part of the line, which says Sukeshu Ispra Mana. Sukeshu Vigat Spraha. So here, like if the same thing, like if lot of happiness comes to that person, Istadi Muni, how he behaves. So he does not get actually elated or joyful when the happiness comes in his life. Like he gets a lot of very nice prasadam, a lot of rasgullas, rasmalai, and all other good stuff, or he gets a lot of money, millions of dollars he gets suddenly, or he gets, if he's a devotee, he goes somewhere, he gets a great welcome, but they don't get actually bewildered, doesn't get too much happy. If someone asks me why not he's enjoying with all this money and everything, so this he says that this is also my prarabdha karma, that's why I got happiness, which I am forced to accept it. It's not like he wants happiness, but it comes, he will accept. So Study Muni actually accept a happiness or miseries, whatever comes, in accord, they just take it as it is, so without desire of enjoyment. So they are Vigat Spraha completely. So we can see that this character in Sri Prabhupada's example. So Sri Prabhupada never got attached to any happiness. He was very happy when he was in Vrindavan. He was in Radha Damodar temple. He has his own room, and the window will open on the Samadhi of Sri Rupa Goswami. So he was in really great situation. And who wants to leave that place? But just for preaching purpose, he took so much pain for all of us. Actually, he got heart attacks in the Jaladuta. Then he came here. He came to New York. Actually, in New York, he was staying with all the drug addicts in the beginning. And one time, one drug addict, he took some cocaine where Srila Prabhupada was staying. It was just a long room, one side the devotee was, Srila Prabhupada was staying, one side that person was staying. One night he took some cocaine and he got really very much high on it. And then he started yelling and he started hitting, he bought some stick or something and showed it to Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada took his box, the petty and his typewriter and just went out of the room. And he went out and then he went to the road and he didn't know where to go now, left or right. But then he suddenly remembered that one devotee, Michael and Jane, his girlfriend, they come to the temple regularly, so let me go. And they were living nearby. So Srila Prabhupada went to Michael's place, and he told what happened. And then Michael said, come on, Srila Prabhupada. And he kept in his room, and Michael and Jane were living in that place. So the Michael became Mukunda Goswami later on. And so we know that this is all mercy of Srila Prabhupada actually. So, but Srila Prabhupada never was bothered with all these happiness and unhappy, miseries and everything, you know. So that kind of persons are study muni. So let us talk about Srila Prabhupada's guru, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So one time Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, at that time India, the British rule was there. So in the British rule, Britishers actually knew that we have to finish the Indian Vedic culture, because Vedic culture, they make it so strong, you know, that is their all roots, you know. So they wanted to finish the Vedic culture. So they hired two Brahmanas. They were actually very great, educated and everything. So they sent to Bhakti Siddhanta. They told them, you know, we want to see the weakness of Bhakti Siddhanta's camp, you know, ashram, and see what are the weaknesses, what they preach, and how we can break them. So they don't preach anymore. So those two people, two Brahmanas, actually, they were detectives, and they joined. They came to Bhakti Siddhanta and told, we want to join your ashram and we want to live here and we want to perform some bhakti. So Bhakti Siddhanta told him that you have to give up this, everything. You have to get up at this time. So they followed normal schedule. They were living in the ashram and getting up at 3 o'clock, and 4:30 they will attend aarti and all those things, you know, they were doing and attending. So slowly after attending those things for a year or two, they liked it so much. They liked it very good. You know, they actually felt so happy there, much happier than outside life. So after a year or so, then the British government actually called them back that come on and give us your report. So they reported that their life is so nice and there is nothing wrong. And actually, it's a very nice life. So they gave up the British government service and they returned back to the ashram and they joined as full-time devotees actually. So this is actually how Study Muni was, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj was, that even the detectives, they came to blame him, you know, and find the faults, but they became so nice devotees. So when Lord spoke about Study Muni, in the text number 54, he asked 4 questions. What is the description of the person situated in the realization? And so now we can see this in Chaitanya Charitamrita also, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took the sannyas ashram actually, and he left his young, beautiful wife, Vishnupriya Devi, and his mother, Sachi Devi. He left them and he took sannyas. So he was very happy in the preaching work actually, and he was distributing love of Godhead to all over the world. So this is the greatness of the Study Muni, like how they should live and how should behave. Sometime, you know, if it is a normal person, you know, and they get a lot of happiness, what happens to them? Let me give you an example. Like one person who was very poor, he was a shoe repair guy. So that guy, he bought a ticket for lottery and he won 5 crore rupees. So he got so happy, you know, and keep thinking whole night that how he will going to use this money. So he got so much happiness that during the night time he got heart attack and he died. So this is the condition of normal person. They get so much happy and little problem comes, you know, they get so much miserable, you know. So, but Study Muni is quite different than this. So now let us see about the second line, which says Vitaraga Bhayakrodha. So when Study Muni gets free from the fear, attachment, and anger. So how he behaves in all these 3 situations. So he's free from the desirable objects. When those objects taken away from him, because we get attached to the many objects in this life, you know, and when they are taken away, like we have a lot of money, if the money taken away, we get so miserable. And so attachment actually gave us why we are attached to so many things, like our son, grandson, our wife, our house, our cars, you know. If somebody hits a car, we say he hit me. So that is the way people behave, not in normally. But actually, if you think, you know, that the things which are giving us sensual pleasure, you know, we automatically get attachment. So we should not get attached to those kind of things. We can see in the example of Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj actually, he was so great king. He ruled whole universe very nicely, but at the end he went for tapasya. In the forest he lived. He left his kingdom and went to the forest. But in the forest, one deer, he gave birth to a baby deer, and lion was behind him. He jumped and he broke his bones, and the mother died actually. So Bharat Maharaj felt compassion on the baby deer, and he brought in his ashram and then taking care of him, giving milk and all those things, and looking at him while chanting. So his attention went to him, and so he got attached to the deer. So next life he has to take birth, even though he was Mahabhagavad, he has to take birth as a deer in the next life. So like Arjuna, we can give example of Arjuna also. Like when Abhimanyu was killed, so what was the reaction of Arjuna? Arjuna was Abhimanyu was his son. So when he died, he actually, of course, he cried a little bit, but he didn't put his dhanush aside that I'm not going to fight anymore. He didn't do. He continued his duty. So that is the person, Dhira person. They behave like that. A pure devotee actually all the time keeps his attachment to Krishna only and his service. He has no material attachment. So sometimes, we see in the material world that if somebody gets a lot of sorrow, like one guy, Karmi guy, actually he went to the sea with his son, and his son was gone out in the currents of the sea, and he died. Everybody tried to look him, all the all the gods and everybody went in the sea, and police came and everybody looked, he was nowhere. So the guy got so depressed that he closed all his business and everything. He said, what is the fun in the life now? Because he was so much attached to his son. So attachment is actually is the bandhan for the karma bandhan, actually for us to take birth again and again and again. So attachment has to be given up, and we should take all the Lord's whatever Lord's keeps, in whatever condition Lord's keeps us, we should just live in that condition. So now let us see. So if the study Muni keeps how he lives with the fear, what he does, what is his reaction in the fear. So sometimes we get problems with a person. Why we get fear? Because like a person who we are attached, and we think, that, oh my God, he got made now on me, and so he's afraid of that person, that now I'm not going to get my sense of gratification, like that. So those things, we have to give up the fear, because if we think that nothing we brought in this world and we are going empty handed from this world, so why to worry about, why we should fear about anything, whatever condition Krishna keeps, we should live in that condition. And now we will discuss about the krodha. If the anger comes, for krodha, actually Bhagavad Gita in 62 and 63, very nice shlokas are there. Dhyato vishayan punsa Sangasteshu pajayate, sangas sanjataye kama, kamat krodha vibhi vijayate. Krodha bhavati samboha, sammoha smriti vibrama, smriti bhanshat buddhinashat pranashati. So that's what happens. While contemplating on the same subject, a person develops attachment for them. And from such attachment, lust develops. And from lust, anger develops. And from anger, complete delusion arises. And from the delusion, bewilderment of the memory comes. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again in this material pool. So that is the condition happens, when we get the anger. So we should actually stay away from the anger. And why we get anger? Mostly because our desires are not fulfilled. Then we get anger. So if we don't have the desires, then how the anger will come, because we contemplate on the same subjects, and then we try to enjoy this world, and when our desires are not fulfilled, then anger comes. But a devotee never wants to fulfill any material desires. He never gets any anger for the material things. when, like we can see the example of Rantidev. Rantidev, he was the big king, he took the fast of 48 days, no drinking, no eating anything. So he was so lean and thin. And after the 48 days of the fast, he came to his house, and he was very hungry and very thirsty. So when he sat down to eat, then some Brahmana came, and so he gave him half food, and then a beggar came and he gave him the rest of the food. And he said, okay, now let me just drink water. So when he was drinking water, one Chandal came with his dog, and he took, and then he said, I'm very thirsty, I need water. So Rantidev gave him the water also. So see, this is the mindset of the Sthit Pragya. He never got angry. Rantidev never got angry actually, that why everything is gone. So this is the condition of the Study Muni actually. Study Muni, he never gets angry. They never get bewildered with the pain, with the happiness, with the distress. They never gets any fear. They never get attachment to anything. So this is the proper way, because they teach us, how to live in this material world. Then we can be happy. We can see the example of Prahlad Maharaj actually, that in the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that his father Hiranyakashipu, how much pain he gave him. He actually threw him from the mountain top to kill him. He put him with the snakes, full room full of the snakes, and he put him in the fire, and all those things. He gave him the poison. But Prahlad Maharaj he was not afraid of anything. He had full faith in the Lord Krishna, that Krishna will help me. He will actually protect me. And so actually he was protected properly by Lord Krishna. And at the end, his father asked him, where you get all this power? And he said, I get the power from the same source where you get your power. It's the same Lord who is giving power to all of us. And he said, where he lives? And he said, he's everywhere. So he said, he is. So he said, yes, he's there. So he actually gave the big fish to the pillar, and he actually broke the pillar, and from the pillar, Narsingadev came, and he killed Hiranyakashipu. And then Prahlad Maharaj actually had very nice prayers to him at the end, because nobody was able to go, any demigods and anybody, not a single person had courage to go to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to Narsingadev. And still, then they send Narad Muni actually came, and they send Prahlad Maharaj to go near Narsingadev and tell some prayers. And immediately, because he was a little boy, but still he actually gave so nice prayers to Narsingadev that he got very happy. And at the end, Narsingadev asked for boon. That okay, you did so nicely, please ask me some boons. And he didn't want to ask any boon, because once you see the Lord, you got everything. What else you need? But Narsingadev actually insisted that no, ask something. So see how merciful Prahlad Maharaj was, that he actually asked that please do something to my father so he gets liberated. And then Narsingadev said that not just your father, but so many generations in the past and future generations, 21 generations will be liberated. So that is the power of study Muni kind of persons. They can get anything they want, because they have full faith in the Lord. So we should actually try to develop our life like that we get some qualifications of study Muni. So our mind is stable that way, and then we can perform our bhakti nicely, and so our life will be sublime, and Lord Krishna will be very happy. Our spiritual master will be very happy. And so what is the use of being study Muni? So like, for example, I can tell like Markandeya Muni, he was meditating on Krishna. He was not disturbed by anything. Markandeya Muni saw Lord Krishna one time. He was meditating on the form of Lord Krishna, little baby Krishna lying on the banyan leaf, and he saw that form. And after that form, it disappeared after a few minutes. And then he was contemplating on that form all the time that I want to see it again. I want to see the Radha Krishna again. So actually, Krishna was so merciful. After millions and millions of years, he saw that form again when he was in the river. He saw in the water there was banyan leaf and the Lord Krishna in the baby form, and he was sucking on his big toe. So that form, then he said, Kararavindam Kararavindena Padarvindam Mukharavindena Vinivesha Yantam Vatasya Patrasya Putesayanam Balam Makundam Manusai Smarami. So we should try to study mind and concentrate on bhakti and remember Krishna always and never forget him. So thank you very much for listening. Now I will open for some questions and comments. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Kaivalya Prabhu, for what a beautiful explanation of the Stitadi Muni. So many aspects of their personalities. I have a question, but I want to open it up to see if anybody else in the audience first has one.
Sure, Prabhu.
If anybody does, please unmute yourself if you have a question for Kaivalya Prabhu. Okay, I'll ask my question.
Sure.
You explained the how the Stitadi Muni, he doesn't get disturbed by he doesn't get angry, even if there's like one becomes insulted, or he remains even among praise and also blame. And you gave the example of Srila Prabhupada. He was the man, he got very angry with him, why are you preaching here? And then Srila Prabhupada still treated him with great respect, and so how do we, when these situations come up in our lives, when we get provoked, and our feelings are to get angry, what should we do to kind of stop that and kind of channel our higher, our Krishna consciousness, the things that we learn in these classes, and we think, okay, this sounds really good, and then we get tested, whether it's at work or whether it's in family life or it's in even devotional life. Sometimes it happens. How do we check this imbalance of anger?
Yeah, anger comes to everybody. If they are fixed in the sadhana, anger will be slowly reduced. Sometimes in the management, you have, if it is somebody offends, like service in the temple, then management has to tell them something, but not in angry mood, but in a with a loving affection. We should tell something very nicely, and we should not get angry. So because in the anger, our mind gets bewildered and we do something bad also. Can say some bad words, and we can offend that other devotee, whom we are talking to. So better not to get angry, and try not to say any bad word. Even it came to Prabhupada, so many people offended him, when he opened so many temples, met so many devotees, and people will not do work on time. That happened, but Sri Prabhupada took it as the will of the Lord and did accordingly. But he very rarely got really mad, or yelled at him or something. We never heard that kind of thing. So that way we have to just follow Sri Prabhupada and see. I know it's a very hard actually for us to be in his shoe. We cannot imitate Sri Prabhupada because he was Mahabhagavat, and we live in this bad world, where everybody actually angers us, so what to do? But we should try our best, that is the only solution. But if you are fixed in bhakti, it will be easy for us. If we are not studying our bhakti and we are bewildered with different things, then anger will come, of course.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, Hare Krishna, thank you. Anyone else has any other comments or questions? nobody, then I will end here, and I will thank you again for listening. And Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Just a couple quick announcements. But before that, I want to just thank Kaivalya Prabhu again for a wonderful class. This is actually the second class he's given today. He gave the Srimad Bhagavatam class this morning. If you want to listen to more of Kaivalya Prabhu's classes, please tune in on Sunday morning. He gives Srimad Bhagavatam class on Sundays, 7:50 a.m. We actually have Bhagavatam class every morning. It's starting at 7:50 a.m. on the same Zoom channel. So Kaivalya Prabhu, thank you very much again. Now that many of you know Kaivalya Prabhu, is a medical doctor. He has had his own practice, and but now that you've recently retired, it seems like you're much more available to for the devotees and speaking and giving classes. So it's very happy for us. It's a very good thing for us that we're getting more of your association, and looking forward to that into the future. So thank you. We have our Sunday feast program. Because we're in COVID, where everything is a little bit changed a little bit, but we're trying our best to keep as many of the key components in place. So darshan of the deities. If you join us at 4 o'clock, we show darshan of the deities with the 4 o'clock arti. I'm having the Sunday feast class at 4:30. Also our Sunday feast prashadam. We've also made that available to the devotees as well. For those, but because we don't know how much to make and we don't want to have things wasteful, what we want to do is, or what we've been doing is getting people to RSVP. And it's really worked out successfully. One of the reasons it's worked out so successfully is because you've cooperated, as well as we've had a really wonderful devotee coordinating it from the temple side. That devotee is Jai Ganesh Prabhu. And he is going to be returning to India next Saturday. So we wish him the best, and we thank him so much for all the service that he's done here. His family's in India. He kind of got trapped here during COVID. He's only supposed to stay for about 3 months, and he's supposed to leave, I think, in early spring, and then COVID hit, and he's had to stay through the summer. But he's going to be returning soon. So we're starting a same thing. Prashadam is available, but we have to be asking you to go online. There's a form. It takes about 20 seconds to fill out. So instead of calling him, he's going to be in India. He won't respond. We're going to have to go in that form. That form is in the newsletter. So hopefully you get the newsletter. Just click on it and you can sign up. A lot of devotees already have done so. If you haven't been one of them, please take advantage of the prashadam that we've cooked. Today is Ekadasi, so devotees have prepared a wonderful Ekadasi meal for the Lord. Darshan begins at 5:45, but we ask you to stop by and take darshan. It's getting a little bit more crowded. I think now that the summer's over, people aren't traveling as much. So you'll notice maybe a little bit more crowd. Please be mindful. We still have to observe COVID restrictions, 6 feet social distancing, minimum number of people in the temple. We have it like between 25 and 30, depending on how we space things out. So if you do come and you're there for a while and you see a lot of people there, we may ask you to just to be mindful. Let other people come and maybe sit in the kirtan for a little bit. We want to try to make it accommodating for everybody. So I just wanted to mention that. In that way, we're always giving other people our considerations and making sure that our limitations during COVID, we're trying to maximize them to make it things as much available to everybody as we can. We also have a Sunday feast sponsor because we're distributing Krishna Prashadam in the same light that we used to do. We also have Sunday feast sponsor. So if you're interested in sponsoring the Sunday feast, that is also available. You'll find details in the newsletter. And if you want, you can reach out to myself or to Mother Sita Devi Dasi. This week we have our Sunday feast sponsor is Mother Nilambari Radha Dasi. And she is sponsoring on the occasion of the loving memory of her parents, Samendra Nath Chandra and Uma Chandra. as well as the parents, her in-laws, Sunil and Chitika Datta. So I ask the devotees who are assembled, those who are joining us on YouTube, as well as Zoom, and those devotees that are assembled in the temple, to please chant the Maha Mantra one time for Nilambari's parents, as well as her in-laws, and offer them our prayers and blessings. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama Rama Rama
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama
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 Rama,
Rama
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
So thank you, Mother Nilambari, for sponsoring the feast and being able to feed all the devotees. So surely gives much pleasure to Lord Krishna and many blessings to you and your family. We are in the middle of the month of Purushottama, and this is the extra month. So you'll find that there's no holidays that occur during this time because it's like a break in the middle. It's a month that's inserted. So we don't have any appearance days, disappearance days during this month, but it's an extremely auspicious month and time, and it's never too late to start if you haven't started, just to think about Krishna a little bit more, chant a little bit more, read a little bit more. If there was one of those things that you wanted to begin spiritually, this would be a great auspicious time to do so. If you're looking for a group to chant with, 6:30 a.m. in the morning, up until our Bhagavatam class at 7:50, you can join the Zoom channel, and we have a group of devotees there chanting japa together. There's power in community japa. I know everybody has their own program, but give it a shot if you like. We're here, there's a group of us that chant in the morning, and we find it very powerful, and we think you will too. Okay, with that, we'll close out. Those that are coming to the temple, we'll see you tonight. Darshan opens in just a few minutes at 5:45, and we'll go into 7:15. Thank you once again, Kaivalya Prabhu, for your wonderful class. And we'll see you guys throughout the week, and if not, next week at the same time. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.